We are back for another Christian review of regular books, and today we are discussing Beyond That, the Sea by Laura Spence-Ash. For those of you who've never seen one of these videos before, here's how it's going to go down. First, I do my regular review, what you know and love to expect from a book review, star rating, my own personal opinion, etc. And I do it all without spoiling the book. But then I get into my Christian review, and that's where I go over the basic pieces of a book that may or may not have a fellow believer or honestly anyone wanting to read it. I give more caveats and any more information you may need about these reviews at the video that's pinned to the top of the playlist. Or you should be able to click here somewhere. So go ahead and click on over there if you need to, or if you're still here, let's go ahead and get into my regular review. Beyond That, the Sea is a World War II historical fiction, and it is really interesting because it doesn't take place in Europe or the area where the war was going on. Instead, it takes place in America. It is the removal of that character from Europe when World War II was happening, and instead her life living in America, and really like in a hub in America, not somewhere where they are also experiencing the effects of war necessarily, other than the long-term effects that happened because of the war. In that way, it was really interesting. I always love learning about that time frame, but I was a bit disappointed in the overall structure of how it was written. It was beautifully done, and I think that this writing style probably works for a lot of people, but for me, it felt very ethereal and dreamlike. On top of that, it felt like it was happening in the third person, like we were watching from a bird's eye view, not through the experience and lens of the emotion of the character themselves. And so a lot of times I felt like there was a lack of understanding about what was coming, or it seemed too easy even though the situation wasn't easy. There was emotion but not enough emotion, and so I often felt like I was waiting for that shoe to drop. I was waiting for something more terrible to happen to this character in which I would get more emotion out of the characters. On top of that, instead of the quotations for quotes, it was written with like an italics, which further made it feel like almost it was a dream that I was witnessing instead of a book or an emotion or an experience that someone was actually like in at that moment. It also does follow multiple points of view, so you are not getting one person's point of view, you are getting tons of people's point of view throughout the course of this book. And it doesn't just follow the main female character from, you know, the years of the war. It actually follows her from when she first comes to the United States until her 50s or so. So you're getting her whole life. In all of those categories, I feel like that's an area where I would tell you, oh, I actually felt so connected, but due to the lack of emotional depth or experience that I was getting through the book, I just felt like I left without knowing how to feel about the character or her experiences or any of those pieces. However, I do think there's probably a lot of people who would love this writing style, and maybe that writing style just isn't for me. Ultimately, I rated this book 3.5 stars. If you want to see everything that I'm reading and rating in real time, you can do so by following me on Goodreads. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, and I do have my own YouTube channel, so if you want to see more of my life and reading journey, you can click the links down below in the description box. Now let's go ahead and get into my Christian review. The first category I always love to touch on because it's popular is smut or spice. In this book, there's none. It was really easy because you really didn't have to skip past anything at all. The second category is explicit language, and again, there's none. Also, this takes place in like the 1940s where explicit language was far less common, and again, not in like a wartime area, but instead in you know, middle of the United States kind of feel. The third category I want to just touch on would be violence and gore, because we are talking World War II, but because we're not dealing with the war itself, there really isn't any violence or gore. Ultimately, this book is clean in all of those senses and probably great for anyone aged 14 or up. It doesn't have anything that I think would need to be kind of watched for, and it's a very interesting story about this female main character who goes through these experiences. Before you go, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell so you can stay up to date on all of these Christian reviews of regular books, plus me and my mom's podcast, The Journey We Share. But on top of that, not only does it help you stay up to date, it helps us know that the content we're providing is content you want to keep seeing. And because we are a nonprofit, this is a free way for you to donate without ever having to open your wallet. So before you go, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and maybe even comment. And I cannot wait until we see you on the next one.